All right, everybody, let's get started here. So, we're on week 5. Excuse me. And for those of you coming in over your laptops or your computers, can you mute yourself until you speak to help eliminate the feedback? Thank you. Francis, if you could mute yourself too, that would be great. It's the green button on the top. Okay, great. That's better. All right, so we're at week 5, of our 6-week course. We've got 1 week left. I definitely want to say, great job to everybody who's still here, still grooving strong, to really make a difference and make these changes, transform your financial earning identity, get us moving forward. So today we're going to move forward, but as we always do, let's start out by getting into our new state. Let's go. Make a move. Get into that state. Yeah. Everything's better when you're in state. Good. Now, our favorite question here. Are you willing to live the next few years of your life like most people won't, so you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't? Yep. I am. So, going to battle it down here. So, now, let's review last week. So, since Jason, they're muted, Jason, you're standing up right here. How was this last week's? I think that's a wrong process. Wrong last week. But last week we had a sales assignment, right? Implementing 3 sales strategies. Any feedback on last week's assignments?
I think they're pretty basic, really. I've seen it taught before.
Yeah.
And so to me, being able to have a review in a way is always positive.
Yeah.
Going into this week, there's been a couple of changes in our company. I can start establishing them basically immediately.
Yeah.
So to be able to practice the new belief is basically started today. It's not a problem.
Good.
It's really nice to be able to have fresh ideas coming from a different instructor or a different coach, and still be a concept that I've already known.
Yeah. Good. Thanks for the feedback. And any feedback about the new sales state? Did you use that last week?
I spent a few minutes on it, and I can definitely feel a difference in how I react to the environment that I'm in, the new sales state, and how my outlook is. I did an event on Saturday, and so I was kind of practicing it mentally in the new sales state during that event, and until the weather turned and basically closed us down. Things are going to happen, but the idea flow with new customers or new prospects was very free when I was in the new sales state. So, I'm going to use it on a regular basis, and I think it'll be particularly useful when I'm doing events where I'm trying to market my product.
Yeah, good. Ben, do you have any feedback from last week?
I'm still behind.
Okay, good catch up.
I'm going to catch up.
Okay, what about on the bridge? Any feedback from anybody on the bridge on their new selling state compared to their financial earning identity state, or implementing new 3 sales actions? I know you're muted, but how about Mir? Any feedback?
Yes, it still feels a bit uncomfortable, but one of my new beliefs is that uncomfortable is growth.
Yeah.
So I took several actions to sell my services. And especially by connecting to other people, that really worked well. I can't say I sold anything yet, but at least, I gave people my folders, and I talked to them, they brought it home with them. So yes, I did definitely took steps, but it's still not automatic.
Okay. And when you initiated those steps, were you coming from a place of service, or were you coming with a place of trying to generate business?
Good question.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I started out with generating business because that's why I brought my folders with me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't even thought about it, you know.
Yeah.
But then while I was connecting to people, I thought of the service more than the selling.
Yeah, it's
yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, it's really a good idea to focus on coming from a place of service, because that takes the fear and discomfort in selling away. It really does, and it starts with your vibration and your energy in your body. And there's a really easy way an exercise we can do, and I wasn't planning on doing this today, but I found about this exercise about a week ago, and it's called the Magic Minute. And basically, the idea is, let's say you're going into a meeting or a sales transaction or some form of interaction, and you've got 1 minute. Now, 1 minute isn't enough time to put any new information in your head. The only thing you can really do in 1 minute is align with what your outcome is. So let's everybody take a second here, and I know I don't have a slide for this, but I can send out this. It's simply 3 steps. So let's everybody do this and think about an outcome that you want right now that may have a little bit of stress around it not happening. Does everybody have one of those? Can you come up with an outcome that's got some stress around it? On the bridge? It works good if you're feeling stress about this, an outcome, or uncertainty, or you feel like your energy isn't right around it. So what I want you to do is think about that outcome, and then let that outcome go, and then close your eyes and just put your attention on your whole body. So just put your attention on your whole body, and then breathe, take a deep breath. While still focusing on your whole body, take another deep breath. One more deep breath. Now I want you to focus on gratitude. Think of something you can be grateful for right now. Just completely gratitude. Is it someone you love, someone you appreciate? Just think about, so you feel the emotion of gratitude. Now, feel the emotion of love. Someone you love, someone who loves you. Now, picture that outcome that you were after, the one that wasn't completed or the energy wasn't lined up with. Picture that outcome. What does the ideal result look like? And imagine it being done. And let that feeling kind of flow through your body. Then open your eyes. How many of you can feel a shift?
Relief. More
Yeah.
than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you've got a minute before a meeting, you can do that in a minute. So the step is connect with your body, focus on body, and breathe. Number 1. Step 2 is feel the emotions of gratitude and then love. Because those emotions have a really high vibration to them, a high energy level. Gratitude is actually kind of like the antidote for fear. So when you focus on your whole body, you get out of your head. When you think of gratitude, you operate your body at a higher level energy, emotion. And then you add love, it's even higher. You focus on the outcome, you can see it done. And what that actually does is it aligns your body and your mind and your reticular activating system with the actual vibration of the result being done, and that taps into the law of attraction. So anytime if you've got something you're working on that you're not lined up with, or if you're feeling stressed about something, or it's easy to be stressed about stuff in today's world. As soon as you get stressed, do that, because you want to be in the vibration and the connection and the energy of the result, not the fear of it. Okay? Any feedback on the bridge about that exercise? From Francis, Mira, Truda?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I would say there was just definitely a shift.
So Truda, you felt a shift? Okay.
Yeah.
And Mira, you said you loved it?
Yes, and can you send it as well? That's just to make sure I have it right.
Yeah, I'll email out the exercise this afternoon with the recording.
Great.
Really simple, but it's a simple way to shift your vibration. Good.
We do something similar in my family with
Uh-huh.
what we call it. Kind of goes along the line of the whole catchphrase or that video that came out about 5 years ago, The Secret, when
Yeah.
the book launched.
Yeah.
We do what's called a prayer wheel.
Mhm.
Very similar to the visualization that you're talking about and putting an identity poster together.
Yeah.
But we put in things that we would like to see accomplished, whether short period or long period. And it's something that we'll write a statement about what we want to accomplish using gratitude as it's already something that we already have or something we've already collected or accomplished or whatever. And it's really amazing. We've been doing this now for about 2 years. It helped us get to California when we relocated back from Reno.
Mm-hmm.
It's been helping me also build my business while I've been with this company for a year. It's allowed us to release a lot of fears, release a lot of stressors by focusing only on the good of what we want to accomplish. And then next thing you know, you're checking it off the list because it's already done.
Yeah, good. Thanks for sharing.
And having this kind of really step-by-step process, this is something we've already been kind of doing. The breathing process, probably not as much. We haven't thought about that part of it. But the rest of it, just focusing on things that already have become, even though they hadn't. And it really is amazing how it works.
Yeah, that's great. And, you know, like the Walt Disney story, right? Like 75 banks, and he keeps going, right? So it's like he saw that outcome. So when you can see that outcome as a reality, it's going to happen because it's reality. You just got to keep taking the actions. Okay, good. Any other comments on that exercise? I think we already heard some on the bridge. So, okay. So we're going to jump back over to our okay. What I also wanted to do is take a minute today to see if anyone had any questions about anything so far in the course. I know we've covered a lot of content over the past 5 weeks. Any questions about any of the exercises before we move forward?
Sure. In regards to the incantations of how we're continually recognizing our new identities and whatnot, does that ever end, or is that something that we should continue to build on or continue to have in our lives moving forward?
Let me ask you this. If, do you exercise regularly?
Yes.
Are you ever going to stop?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, right.
Because it's establishing control over our subconscious mind. And that is really the structure below our conscious mind. So it's like, do we want to maintain conscious of that structure for the rest of our life going forward? And the thing is, the more you do it, the stronger it gets. Stronger and stronger it gets. If you did one thing from this whole course, when it picked up 10 minutes of incantations every day, that would transform you. Because it would actually be better to do that than sit here to watch these courses for an hour, because if you just watch them and don't do anything, you don't remember it. Writing it down as you do it helps drive it in even more. Writing it and saying it and moving it at the same time adds it even more, but then repeating it over and over again. And some of these recordings, you could actually play these, and you can go and while you're at your desk, play it at a low volume so you can actually kind of hear it in the background too. That would help too, but it's the repetition that gets that in there. So yeah, you definitely want to. I would really look at it as exercise. It's taking care of your emotions. Okay. Good. Any other questions? Anybody from the bridge about any questions about anything we've done up till now?
Jason, do you know who Joel Osteen is?
I know the name, but not specific.
He's a TV evangelist.
Okay.
And he has thousands of people that come to listen to him every week. But anyway, I think he's just done this type of process over and over. Building that emotional muscle by repeating positive things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems insincere, I think, because we just don't see people in that kind of state most of the time. Is that it?
Yeah, well, because when you see somebody in that excited, happy state,
Right.
yeah, most people don't do that. Most people don't even take a course, let alone invest in a 6-week course to continue their development, right? The people that actually work with a coach or something is like less than 5% of the population. So, and I would also say when you see somebody like that, it's also the perspective of the person that's giving that too. So seeing that person as being insincere or something, that is a view from your model of the world that may not be the same other people. So one thing to really be conscious about is when we're interacting with other people, we're always analyzing everything. It's how our brain works. What does this mean? What does it do? And we grow up and we live in our world, our values, our belief structures, our peers, our family. So we make all of our judgments based on that. And as we grow up, we get more and more experience by going to college and being exposed to other people. And to really connect and interact with other people, you need to go even further that direction by like literally turning yourself off. Instead of saying, well, that person has that type of clothes, they're probably this. Really saying, okay, well, that homeless person on the street, I wonder why he's homeless. He may have been something may have happened to him, So it's really getting that curiosity will help you understand their world, because I don't think everybody believes that somebody in a happy state is insincere. So some people could, but, we live in a difficult time right now with the economy is not doing great. It's challenging. Everybody's working more and more, and it seems like it's going to blow up, right, at some point. I think there's going to be some shift in society coming at some point because it has to, but it's really a point of view, and somebody like that, I would get curious. And the nice thing is when somebody's in that way and you get around them, they will help affect you and lift your energy up too. So hope that answers the question.
Yes, it did.
Okay, good. Anybody else have any questions?
Have you ever worked with people who have started doing the identity or the incantations or whatever, and then they're doing it consistently, but through the challenges of daily life, they get some frustration or some disappointments, and all of a sudden that those incantations in that state loses some of its power and excitement because it gets diluted by other stuff coming in. Is there a way? What's your recommendation? Overcome that and kind of get that power back?
Okay, well that power will always be there if you maintain that state. Okay, so what's happening is you're allowing that state to get diluted.
Yeah.
So number one way to move your state is to move your body.
Okay.
Run, sprint, push-ups.
Okay.
That's one thing you can do.
All right.
Really shake that state, and it's hard, especially when you're married, when you've got jobs, you've got kids, and sometimes you can be walking out the door and just here's some drama for you. It just happens, right?
Yeah.
So the real thing is to, when that stuff comes in, to shake back, and the more you practice the state, the more it's going to become your natural state. The other thing you can do is get around people who are in that state. So forming like power groups and so that you're coming together and reinforcing that over and over. That's a great thing to do, is when you're getting people who are all committing that, because then you get to feed off the energy of other people. But if it's not, the other thing to remember is if you're not in state, you can't analyze your way out of it. Okay? So what happens is, you'll be like, oh, why am I feeling this way? And then you're trying to find the answer to why you're feeling this way. But you'll never find your way out of that state, ever. You'll just, oh, what is it? Okay. Oh, maybe, it's because, yeah, that thing, yeah, that's why I'm feeling this way.
You're still there.
You're still there. And it's funny because if you look at like a therapist would be talking to somebody, it's like, okay, let's talk about it. And, yes, it's possible to change associations and meanings to stuff, but for the most part, when something comes up and you're just in a not in an ideal state, you just need to get out of that state. So the problem with most people, especially, is we get kind of curious and we're like, well, especially when we're exposed to a high-level state, we're like, hey, I want to stay in this state. Oh, why isn't it working? Well, I'll try it again. Oh, wait, no, it didn't. And then you brought in a little bit of doubt, right, so that the state's not working. So what to do is acknowledge that you're never going to think your way out of a state. You just have to, and it's rapid movement is, and voice is like the easiest way. You can't yell a lot. Move your body, flex your muscles. If you're at your desk, you can do crunches. But that physical motion is the number one way to change your state. The other thing to do is to fake it until you make it. Seriously. So if I'm like making my move, and I just go, okay, I'm just going to pretend. I'm going to pretend. You pretend literally for 5 to 10 seconds, and it will be there. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you're going into your state and practicing it, you're making sure it always happens. You never doubt it. It's there. Because that equation is always, everyone on here who's been in that state, it's always there. You will never lose that. At the end, it's an equation, right? It's how was I moving my body? What was I focusing on? So it's the physical movement, it's the name and the chant. Those three things right there. And that's why, it's a good thing in your morning routine to go state 1, state 2, state 3, state 4, to cycle through those, and then do it a couple times. Because when something's bugging you, it's usually state. Usually state. It's usually what it is. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, any other questions on the bridge for about anything? Okay, good. Okay, so today we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about rapport and leverage. And I want to talk about rapport really quick because, I don't know, have you guys heard of matching and mirroring before? So the thing about human beings is that when we start interacting with each other and we start to have a conversation and a conversation starts going, we start to get in rapport with each other. And rapport basically means, I'm with someone who likes me and I like them, we're connected and understanding each other. And if you watch two people who, when they meet, when they get into rapport, they'll start mimicking each other subconsciously. They'll be like, It just happens. And I don't know if people who are in sales here have used that, because if you're trying to connect with a client, you can start mimicking them intentionally. They're never going to know, hey, stop mimicking me, matching and mirroring me. They'll never do that. So matching and mirroring is one way. You can match physically. You can match with tone. Face. Tone, yeah, face. And movement, pacing, volume. And so that's one way. And then the other way is to look at their modalities. So there's visual, there's auditory, there's kinesthetic, there's gustatory, and olfactory, right? So we're not going to start tasting and smelling people, but the primary ones are visual, audio, and kinesthetic. So if you pay attention to these clues, and even just to put a note somewhere, like by your desk or something, to just ask yourself this question, when you hear people talk, you'll start to notice the difference between those. And when you understand their visual, auditory, kinesthetic, whatever their nature is, and most of us will do both. I'm highly visual. I talk fast. So highly visual are people who talk fast and use their hands. But we can all go into different modes, right? But there's a default one. And when you can connect with somebody in the mode that they're in, you're going to build rapport faster, a lot faster. Because I'm sure you've all met somebody who you connected with right away, and somebody else that you just could not connect with, and you're just like, what is going on? And you're just like, this person from another planet, right? So a sample of visual is talking quickly, and when I'm talking quickly, it's really not about the words I'm saying, it's really about the meaning, right? Because I'm like, yeah, so when we're doing this course, the great thing about this course is, it doesn't really matter, but the course is going to teach you this, this, and this. So there's a visual concept that's being described, and the actual language isn't really that important, okay? The speed is usually a primary indication of visual. And then there will also be clues to words like, looks like to me, what I'm seeing here is, And then auditory is someone who is really in control of the language. So they're going to generally speak very clearly and be very meticulous about what they're saying. And for a highly visual person, it can get frustrating because these different states actually get slower and slower. Whereas a visual person may be waiting to speak more because they have more that they want to say. The auditory person will keep talking until they get what they're finished.
Does it frustrate you when you're talking to me? You're visual and I'm auditory and I talk slowly.
No.
No? Good. All right.
No, man, you don't frustrate me. No, there's slow. Kinesthetic is the kinesthetic is, you know, what I'm really feeling is I think week 5 is one of the best weeks, and I think that you'll probably feel, does that resonate with you? Yeah. So the kinesthetic ones, like if I'm on a coaching call and I'm talking to someone who's kinesthetic, it's like I almost lay on the floor. So by just being aware of those and matching the language a little bit and the pace, you can increase your ability to connect with people. And here's a quick cheat sheet right here. So you can see visual would use words like see, look, view, appear, show, dawn, envision, illuminate. Auditory, hear, listen, harmonize, rings a bell, be heard. And then kinesthetic, feel, touch, grasp, tap. On feeling, get a handle, solid. Any questions? Okay. Just had a couple slides on rapport. And you could print out this picture. It's good to have. Just even if you go through a couple exercises and tell people you're talking to, you'll notice the difference. And when you start to speak their language, you can impact them more.
I do a lot of telesales now in this job, and it's I've known that I've been very good at doing this. Actually, most of my sales career. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it annoys I annoy myself with it because I'm consciously catching myself doing it. You know, and I didn't think it was a natural thing to do, and almost thought that it was something that might be belittling the person that I'm communicating with. But it doesn't. It's never seemed like they've even noticed.
No, they won't.
It's very strange. But I've known that I can do pretty much all of these pretty well for a long time.
Yeah.
And it gets really intense when I'm with family members or people I've known most of my life because, I mean, I can mimic somebody almost exactly to their tone of voice.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And for the longest time, it really bugged me. But after I've come to realize that they don't even know it's happening. Okay, whatever. That's just how it is.
The way I view it is that if you can match them and you can, like we're talking about, build rapport, make them feel more comfortable, communicate more clearly to them on their level, then by doing this, you're actually serving them better. If you choose to ignore, if you have the skill to be able to match and mimic a pace with them, and you choose not to use it because you think it's belittling to them, you're not really serving them as well as you could by actually coming alongside them at whatever tone or pace or speed or whatever fits with them. They're coming.
And people will never know this because it happens naturally anyway.
Sure.
It always happens naturally, and you're just speeding up the process. Okay, now we're going to move over and talk about leverage. Okay, so leverage today, and we'll talk about, what is leverage? Leverage, one way to think of leverage is assisted advantage, a way to maximize output, and working smarter. Because most people don't use leverage. But when you can figure out leverage, you can get a lot more done with less time. So let's imagine a successful person you can think of. Who's the most successful person you can think of in your head? Whatever.
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett, So do you think that Warren Buffett works by himself? Does he have a team? How many people does he have supporting him?
Thousands.
Yeah, thousands. Yeah. So we want to look for ways to leverage ourselves. And we may not be Warren Buffett, but implementing leverage will take us to the next level, to step up. Okay, and could be a team, it could be assistant, but I want today, what you really to get out today is leverage is a must. And leverage is gonna grow you exponentially because you're gonna bring another body into the mix, helping you on your output or your results, your targets. Now, I don't want you to worry about how you pay for this or whatever. Just throw that out right now. Right now, we're looking at leverage as a way to move us forward. Like we're trying to move a big rock, we can't move it, but if we have a long stick, we could like pry it, right?
I almost look at it differently. It's to me, leverage is collaboration.
Yeah, that's one way.
In my line of business, I guess I could call it an indirect team. I mean,
yeah,
we constantly run ideas past each other, or share clients, or refer clients, or help troubleshoot a problem. And yeah, it's a group of, with me, it's about a dozen people that I know that I can call on at any time and say, hey, I got this thing going on.
Yeah.
Any suggestions? And the suggestions just fly. I mean, it's really, really easy. Now that's nice and packaged really well when it has to do with the industry that I work in.
Yeah.
But let's look at building a team of people that want to continually better ourselves, regardless of what industry. That's another team that you can look at actually building.
Yeah, that's one form of leverage with the team. So here are a few types of leverage. One of them would be tools that we're using. Another one could be a people, could be a team, could be assistants, kind of a support group. The third one would be a peer group, and like accountability partners. And the fourth type of leverage could be self-leverage on ourselves. We've talked about that a little bit here. And there may be more types of leverage, but these are, 4 basic types that will help you move forward and help increase your effectiveness. So if we look at tools, we've got computers, we've got internet, we've got systems. And to really be effective with tools, we want to make sure we're using what's working. And if we can find a role model who has good tools and systems to copy them. Because we don't want to reinvent anything we don't have to. If we can find someone else who's doing this now and has a tool and a system and a process we can copy, go for it. Because if it's working, just copy that process. Now, we're going to do some exercises here in the middle of these as we go through these. So let's take a minute here and think about the tools that you're using today and answer these questions. Are these tools supporting you or are they slowing you down? And are there tools that you need to add? Whether it's a computer program, a website, an app. Are there tools that you need to replace or upgrade? And are there any tools that you need to master? If you're looking on your computer, would spending 15 minutes learning shortcut keys increase your efficiency using your computer? So I don't have to use Microsoft Outlook or Word or anything like that. There's tons of shortcut keys. And if you don't have to reach over and grab your mouse to move your cursor every time because you can use a shortcut key, it's going to make you faster. You guys done? Are you guys good? Okay. On the bridge, you done?
Not yet.
Okay. Let me know when you're done. It could be a social media tool.
Sales assistant.
Could be assistant. Yeah, well, we're going to get to people in the next one. Right now we're just talking tools. Are there tools that your company offers? Could you be trained better on them? Would you be more efficient? Would you benefit from upgrading your computer? Is it slow?
I'm done.
Okay. Any comments or feedback on tools? Okay. Now let's take a look at people. So another form of leverage are people, right? You can have an assistant, you can have a secretary, you could have partners, you could be part of teams. And what we want to think about here is what are the teams that we have in our life and are supporting us, and where could we actually grow that? So right here, for this exercise, I want you to list 5 people who can assist you in the form of having the skill set or being highly motivated or trainable to help you. List 5 people who can help you get your result. And write down, can you pay them? What can you pay them? And if you can't pay them or don't want to pay them, what can you offer them for in exchange or trade? And then what activities can you offload to those people? And how will that boost your effectiveness? So go ahead and take a few minutes to answer this question. And let me know when you're done on the bridge.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
I'm done.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody else need more time? Okay. Any questions or comments about feedback? Okay. Now peer groups is a third form of leverage, right? And one of Jim Rohn's quotes is, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." So in your peer group, you really want people who are already doing or have already done what you want to do or what you want to achieve. Because if you're with a bunch of people who don't know how to do it, that's not going to help you. You want people in your peer group that were going to raise your game because they're at a higher level than you. And you're probably going to have to seek these people out. But by seeking that people out, you'll get people who will hold you accountable to a higher standard and will also lift your game in the process. So for the peer group exercise, let's first think about what are your weak spots? What are your personal weak spots? And then the next question is, what is your current peer group? And is your current peer group supporting you or holding you back? And the third question is, do you need to change your peer group? And number 4, what kind of resource would boost your results or improve your effectiveness? And then number 5, where can you find new peer groups? So go ahead and take a few minutes and answer those questions. And let me know when you're done.
I'm done.
All right, thank you.
Me too.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. Now for this one, let's have a couple shares. First share would be, what kind of resource do you think would boost your results or help you on your way in a peer group? And number 2, what ideas did you come up with where to find new peer groups? Somebody want to share?
Well, these are the most difficult ones.
Yeah,
I was hoping you would suggest something.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Can you speak up, Mir?
I was hoping that you would suggest things here.
Okay. Well, I can suggest some, sure. What did you come up with?
Nothing.
Nothing for 4. Okay, what about 5?
Nothing either.
Okay, that's okay.
Well, yeah, it's a good question, but I will come up with answers, but not yet.
Okay, good. Anybody else come up with an answer for 4 or 5? Benton, you have one?
Well, yeah, for me, kind of resource to boost my results would be to partner up with somebody who is in some of the businesses or fields that I am, like for example, real estate, who has had some coaching, who has some structure, some systems. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I'm looking for is like kind of somebody who's getting some good results, who has kind of like a daily checklist, a time block, a weekly schedule that they follow.
Yeah.
And then kind of some accountability partners that can share with me kind of what they've learned through their coaching and what works for them to be consistent. And then, an accountability partner who will, we can go back and forth and say, hey, did you do, these things that you know is good for you and that you're committed to doing? Did you do those this week? What came up? Whatever. To find new peer groups like that. There's already some resources around here just getting engaged, looking through the MLS and the Association of Realtors to find other real estate agents that are kind of in my same position but are getting maybe a little bit better results that I could, just network with and kind of connect a little bit more with and start seeking out, hey, are you open to forming more of a partnership, more of a group, more of a, accountability partner system?
Okay. Okay, good. Good. Anybody else? Yes, do you have anything you want to share?
Well, just going back to the very first one, I think just looking at peer groups in general, I've got a weak spot in it. my current peer group is more for activity or entertainment or exercise more than anything else. It's not really for what I'm doing in my career. So I wouldn't totally say they're holding me back because they do actually supply referrals to me.
Yeah.
So there is some use to that regard, but it could be a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't think I would lose that peer group because it still has some meaning and it does have some value to me because it's more of a stress reliever than anything else. Because, I definitely need that in my life. But I could probably shift it and just build a new peer group out of folks that are also in my industry. But more than likely, people that I already collaborate business with, and actually just concentrate a little bit more at working with them on a regular basis rather than as needed basis, which it is now.
Yeah, that's good. And they don't have to be in your industry too, because what you want to really think about is finding someone who is performing at a level that you want to perform at.
Okay.
So it's like, how do I create a group of people that are above my head? Okay, so my unique value is this is what I'm good at. I'm going to bring to that, and I'm going to seek out these people and create this group. So it may be a different type of insurance person, maybe another independent, a phone salesperson, or something else, right? So your industry is a good resource or is a good place for one type of peer group, but another peer group may be entirely different. Really, just like think of it like I'm trying to live my life across all these board levels here, and I may be strong in some and weak in others. So for me, if I was looking for people, I'd be looking for people who'd written their own book, who've done trainings, who've done classes, who've grown in a new area after recently moving here, who've created web-based content and done courses, and preferably somebody who's doing that well and who has family and kids and juggles all that in. And finding those peer groups is, you can always go after people on the web that you find who are there, right? Because I want to also network with people who've got lists of people and customers, because that's something I'm trying to do is to build a following. So trying to do that, finding somebody who's doing it well would be a good personal peer group. And what I would do is find somebody, and I would compliment them up front and just be really sincere. Hey, I appreciate the success you have, and I'd love to talk to you. And because when you get around people like that, it's going to change your game. It really is. But if your peer group hasn't changed, you're going to have to seek them out. And the best peer group you can get is probably not easy to get. So figure out what your unique value is. And it may be just that your heart and your drive and your passion and being sincere. That could be enough. And really just open yourself up to that and just like, okay, well, maybe one day a month I'm going to just think about this peer group or make a list of what that peer group looks like. And where could I find the peer groups? I would, in the States we've got meetup.com, which is easy to find groups. Usually there's some form of business at the core of most of those groups, a lot of them anyway, unless you're in like the single guys club or single women's club, bicycling or activity specific, but start a peer group, call a power group, that's one way to find people. You could start a group there and change the languaging of what it's about until you get the best people there, or search Meetup to figure out which are some of the top groups and look at the messaging that people are using there and copy it. That's one way to do that. Okay. So any questions on the bridge? Okay, now last lecture is self-leverage, really, is using fear and discomfort to move you forward. If I don't blank, then blank. That's the simplest way to do that. And it can be very powerful. So here's our exercise here. As I want you to think of a time you didn't want to do something, but a commitment to yourself or someone else pushed you into action. Was there some time that you didn't want to do something, but then you realized you committed it to somebody and then you had to go do it? And what was it that motivated you? Was it a commitment to someone else? Or was it a formal commitment to yourself? If I don't do this, then that's going to happen. And the other question is, how can you get more leverage on yourself? So for example, if I was going to be losing weight, I could post my before picture on Facebook and saying, hey, you guys are never going to see this body again. And when I think about going off my diet or not exercising, I'm going to be like, uh-oh, I'm going to post that before picture. I don't want to post that before picture again in 30 days. So that's leverage. Or going to Facebook, hey, everybody, I'm committing that I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock every day this week and cold call for 2 hours. So, and you do that, people would probably say, go, good for you. So what are some ways that you can get additional leverage on yourself? And would creating accountability, is there something that you know you should do but you're not committing to? Would posting it and committing it to someone else give you the leverage to move forward? So go ahead and answer those questions right there. And let me know when you're done.
I'm done.
Thanks.
Done.
Okay. Does anybody have an example of self-leverage they'd like to share? Okay.
Yes, I'll share one.
Okay.
Years ago, when I wanted to get in better shape, I committed just to myself, but basically I committed to the process.
Mm-hmm.
So I had certain steps that I was going to do every day, and I just did those every single day, and over a period of several years, I got the result.
Okay. Good. Good. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else?
Sure, I've got another one.
Mm-hmm.
Also, years ago, when I was still in elementary and junior high and high school years, I was a musician, and you know, I didn't want to practice because I thought I was just it took time out of my playtime, really.
Yeah.
But the thought of not doing well during a performance motivated me to continue to just force myself into it. And after it became habit to have a practicing routine, I mean, it's much like the incantations, really, when you look at it.
Yeah.
It actually became a lot more fun in the routine, and also realizing that after the practice, I always seem to have gotten it just a little bit better than I was the day before, or the week before, or the year before, to a point where it was just a second nature shift.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? Okay. We're going to move forward here. So we've got our assignment. We're about 1 o'clock. Before our assignment, let's get back into our state, back into our identity. So, learned about leverage this week, and one thing we're going to do is think about what 3 actions that you can implement that will create more leverage this week. Do you want to go after an assistant? Do you want to find a new peer group? What those? So think of 3 actions that you could do this week, and then find some form of new peer group. Go after that. It's really going to push you to that next level. And then how can you combine these types of leverage to get your result? What else can you do? The goal is to work smarter and increase your output. Okay? All right, any questions from anybody? Anybody on the bridge have a question?
Nope.
Okay, well then we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks everybody. Last week is coming up. Keep up your daily incantations, at least 10 minutes. That conditioning will pay off. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day.
Thank you, Jason.